Hey guys, time for this kind of channel update slash after action report for this Trumpeter 135th scale T-62 and kind of what's going on with the channel. So firstly, we've reached 2,000 subscribers. I think we're at 2016, ironically enough, subscribers. So a big thank you to all you guys for sticking with the channel, for always commenting and interacting with the channel. Makes this hobby and makes the model making in general really enjoyable for me. So a big thank you to you guys, and hopefully we'll move on to greater and better things as time goes on. So thanks again guys, and just keep doing what you're doing because you guys rock. So the Trumpeter T-62, which I've done as a kind of an Syrian army inspired T-62. So this is my first true kind of Cold War Soviet armor I've built, and I've done a little bit of aftermarket. There's frill model tracks, which you can kind of see by the side there. Some kind of scratch built milliput details, and I just kind of took quite a big chunk of artistic license in painting and weathering this up, because from what I'd seen, a lot of these vehicles are pretty heavily weathered. No, they don't really have the time to be given nothing but essential maintenance, and also they're being knocked out so quick too that they're pulling them from everywhere they can get them. So in all, from a building perspective, this was a great kit. Didn't really battle me in any ways. The only real thing that was a little bit tricky was the cheek armor. From the way the cheek armor is constructed, it can be a bit fiddly, and I had to leave them off, paint them separately, and so I could paint the turret underneath it and then put them back on. That was the only thing, so some very careful gluing and steady hands were required there to put that down without damaging any paint. Other than that, that was the only real tricky part of this build. Also kind of, if I swing around, also try to, my hand at trying to make sandbags, because I've seen a lot of pictures and a lot of those GoPro videos of Syrian army stuff with couple of sandbags thrown around some of the crew hatches just to give them a bit of protection from small arms, not much else. And these were made out of milliput, and just used the handle from a scample, a hobby blade, to roll it over while it was still wet to kind of impart a bit of a pattern, and it worked out pretty well. I'm still kind of learning how best to get the shapes right for sandbags. They're actually trickier than they look to make them look believable. So I kind of don't want them to just look like blobs of milliput or putty. But other than that, yeah, like in another couple of builds, with some of my Shermans especially, I'll be putting some sandbag armor down. So I'll have plenty of time to practice in between. The weathering on this, for the most part, was done mostly with AK products. I'm quite a big fan of AK. I quite like using them. It's not like I don't like any other products, it's just that I'm used to using these, though I am kind of looking into trying a few other guys' products at the moment as well, just because some of my mates have tried it, like especially Wilder stuff, so I'll give that a go at some point in the future, just to see what it's like. So it was mostly just lightly dusting and a little bit of rust. Now there's always a bit of an argument of how much rust should you put onto a tank. And it depends really on the environment, how well is the army maintaining their machines, or it's been sitting out in the field for 20 years and then also there's been, they put a drop of petrol into it or a drop of diesel, and they're starting it up and throwing it back into service. So because this was like a Syrian army thing, maybe maintenance is not the first of their worries. So weathering this, I kind of took the logic that, well, it's an army that may not have the best of resources nor time to maintain their machines. It's also quite an arid environment, and their stuff is going to wear pretty quickly from all the dust, and even just from like the last couple of years of fighting in the cities. So I placed quite a bit of quite a bit of rust here and there onto the machine, just around areas where I thought I would pick up wear, around like the engine decks, or to be heat. Because that would be a quick way to generate rust on exposed metal if you treat it with heat. and I just kind of applied a little bit around the tracks here as well, and it kind of adds a little bit of character to the vehicle. Then on the back, again, most of the weathering I've done, which isn't rust weathering, like just kind of it's mostly dust, and I'm still kind of learning how best to do dust. I used AK's Dust Effects, and I mixed up a mixture, like a slurry mixture of plaster and dust effects, and then use the airbrush method where you project splatter onto the machine, almost like real life, using blast of air from your airbrush. Or you could also, sorry, excuse the phone, you could also flick the brush like that. I find using the airbrush the better of the two options. You have a bit more control over it, and it kind of came out alright. It went down too much like powder, and like, you know, dust is one of those things. I actually tend to airbrush down my dust for the most part in the other builds I do. Just like the Tiger I did with Adam Mann's build, the dust on that was actually just surface primer desert yellow. I just I tinted down quite a bit, and then low pressure and airbrushed it around the model, and it worked pretty well. I kind of prefer doing it that way, but I like to try something different on every build, and I find that's the best way to learn, is try a different technique on each build. It's not enough to ruin the build on you, but it will impart some information on you. So that's kind of, you can kind of see some of the dust I've done there, and a little bit of rust on the spare tracks. I did go a bit mad with the rust, but I kind of like the effect it gave me. Then I put like a tarpaulin over the rear, also because I lost one of the brackets for the oil drums. Now, I've seen photographs with just the mounting brackets on the hull left and the actual support arms like removed. So, you know, if I ever put this into a show, I just kind of, you know, you can't see it, so for all intents and purposes, the mounting bracket's there. But I only do model shows, so nothing to worry about there. And then just added a few little bits of like cloth here and there, which is just how Millie put. The big thing for this build, and then I don't know how well you can see it on the fume extractor, if I just center it, put some kill marks on the fume extractor. Again, just taking a bit of artistic license. I just more wanted to give this machine a bit of character. That was the big thing. So just added some kill marks. And then if you look at the explosive reactive plates, I put some numbering, like, you know, on it, kind of to show replacements. And also I did different colors for the ERA plates or blocks, again to break things up and add a bit of color. The biggest part of the build for me, and into new territory especially, were the frill model white metal tracks. Now, I've heard a lot of talk from various different modelers, from different publications and model makers from our community, just how good frill model tracks were, and I never tried them. They're normally quite pricey, and, you know, I didn't really mind using Magic Track. But I had a minor disaster with the inbox tracks with this. The way I normally do tracks is I'll just white glue in all the running gear and merely do strips and just glue the link-to-link tracks onto both sprockets and then remove everything. And that normally works perfectly fine with Magic Track, but whatever way this happened and the way I let it set, it set in a wrong kind of shape, so they wouldn't even touch half the wheels. And, you know, I got a bit disheartened, and this is why this build kind of went into the storage box for a couple of months, just because, you know, when something like this happens near the end, it does throw you. And, you know, I was on a hangout with Adam and the lads, and they watched me have a mini meltdown with the tracks, decided to mess with me. And that's just the way it happens, you know. These things do happen, and sometimes it's better just to step away from the model for a while and come back to it. But my experience is, so because of that, I bought some frill T-62/T-55 tracks on eBay for a very good price, actually. But then at that point, then I kind of lost my interest in working on the T-62 for a while. So I pulled it out, built up the tracks. The tracks were very easy to put together. They are not difficult. I know a lot of people seem to be scared of these tracks. To be honest with you, these are easier than link-to-links. If you can do link-to-link tracks, you can do these. I didn't buy any burnisher, I just painted them and then put some pigment over it. And like, they conform just like the real tracks, because there's weight in them. I've tried other like plastic workable tracks, and I hated them. I absolutely hate plastic workable tracks. They're too light, they're too delicate, they can break far too easy. These are very tough, they have weight in them, they conform like the real stuff because there's weight in them. So like if I were to pick up this model, you'll see how they just sag at the bottom. And that's very realistic to the real machines. And also, like a lot of the Soviet stuff seems to have a lot of sag on their tracks, so it does kind of give you some nice kind of you get some nice shapes out of that, to which the throne models really capture. So it's really nice, and would strongly recommend it. And that is really the build of this tank. It was a lot of fun. That is my Trumpeter 135th T-62 mod 1972, I think, because it's been a while since I looked at the box. So I'll show you what I'm working on at the moment. So I've been working on Ming's Leopard 2A4. First Ming kit I've ever built, and yeah, it's nice. It is very nice. Now, I've been working on this on and off for the last about maybe 2 months. So I got all the tracks done, which are actually like workable tracks, plastic workable tracks. Don't need glue. However, I made a mistake on one of the runs of tracks by putting an oil wash over them, and maybe I had the solvent mixture a little bit too high, and it ate right through the tracks and it fell apart. So I'm gonna have to glue them back together like normal tracks, and just glue them in place. Not a big deal, just a little bit annoying. So I'm doing a full kind of speed build video of this. I know some of you guys don't like it. I personally like doing my builds that way now, just for the simple fact being is that, you know, my painting tutorials and weathering tutorials and all that are done as normal conversation videos like this one, and then the actual just build ones are just sped up ×4 and straight through it. And you know, it gives you guys the ability to watch an entire build or painting process and weathering process in a single video without, you know, being there for 40 minutes blabbing on about, well, rambling on about nothing. So and that's not like a knock at anyone who does those type of videos. It takes a certain type of person build to make them work, and I kind of find myself I ramble off topic too much, and I don't really like that, like I'm doing now. So this should be another couple of weeks of building, and then we'll see a proper build video. Because of how a lot of modern armor is done, I actually have to paint the suspension and running gear separately, because there's composite and explosive reactive plate or panels that goes over a lot of modern battle tanks or modern MBTs, and the Leopard is no exception. So I'm going to paint them up separately, mask them, and then continue building. So far I've been pretty good. Had a little bit of a gap here, that's the only place I've had any issue, and there was a little bit of bowing on the joint where the upper hull meets the engine deck. Other than that, and that's nothing too crazy, it's just that this is a very big tank. Like, this is much larger than a Tiger or Tiger II. Like, the modern battle tanks are massive, so this is a very big piece of plastic that is, and it's quite thin, so it is going to bow a little bit. It's just the only real downside to it. But other than that, it's a very nice kit, and I will be definitely getting my hands on another Ming kit in the future, especially their Mark V, the World War I male or female Mark V. Absolutely beautiful tank, and quite an important piece of history. And that will be a project that me and another YouTuber will be maybe working on, just the two of us in the future. But more on that, I'm not going to really talk about that right now until we figure out how the hell we're going to do it. So that's what I've been working on. On the figure painting front, I still have this chap who is meant to be first SS in Kharkov in 1943, and there will be a painting tutorial on how to do the parkas and winter equipment. Very nice figure from Dragon. The only thing there is I replaced the head for a Warriors or VLS Warriors resin head. I think they're out of production now, but I got a pack of these a couple of years ago, and they're very nice. And as always, I tend to paint my faces first because I've done about 2 or 3 tutorials on how to do faces, just no point showing that again and again. So keep in tune for that, and there'll also be a Fallschirmjäger, late war Fallschirmjäger, how to do their Splinter camo patterns, which I'm looking forward to and mildly dreading at the same time because they are pretty complex to get right. So that's what I've been up to. that's what's going on at the moment. And again, big thank you to you guys. You've been really wonderful and awesome. You know, you do make this hobby very, very enjoyable for me, and I'm always incredibly thankful to have such deadly subscribers like yourselves. So thanks for watching, guys. As always, stay safe, happy modeling. Keep an eye out for those videos. They should be hitting your screens in the next couple of weeks at least. You know, it does take a while to do these type of speed builds because I literally have to build, film, and edit everything. But I will be having a few more painting tutorials to break up that, and also I'll probably doing 1 or 2 more aircraft stuff. I know I'm not, like, this channel isn't really known for its aircraft, but it makes for a nice little difference. You know, the figures and the armor and the aircraft help break things up, and just like Michael or Hamilcar Barkis showed in his update video, he has that beautiful Italian Roma battleship, and I have we were all talking and we all bought battleships. So the man has got the Shornhorse, beautiful model, scary model, but I think he can handle it. Michael has the Roma, and I have HMS Warspite. So now we're not really doing a buddy build on them, we're kind of just doing little bits at a time of getting scared and running away, because that's what you do. But hopefully we might see an update sometime in the near future, maybe between 2016 and 2017, of Warspite on the channel. So I've done a little bit, but not enough to show yet. Anyway, I'm babbling, and I shouldn't babble, but that's kind of what's going to be coming up in the future. Haven't really done an update in a while, so I thought I'd give you guys, or you'd be unfortunate enough to listen to me harp on for 20 minutes. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe as always. Again, thank you so much for all the support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.